Welcome to Andor's, the podcast where every week we'll analyze and scrutinize the Star Wars series Andor 7 minutes at a time. My name's Rusteen Honardoost.
And I'm Alex Walwinetz.
This show is made possible by our backers at patreon.com/AndorksPod, where every month you'll get special Andorks detours and early access to every episode of Andorks for just 5 credits per month. We have friends everywhere, and today we are joined by our friend, the founder, publisher, and host of No Proscenium, the guide to everything immersive, with the podcast that is returning for its 2nd season very soon, our friend Noah Nelson. Welcome,
Hi, Noah.
Noah.
Hello, gentlemen.
Thanks
It's good
for
to be
being
here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on the show.
I'm excited to dive into 7 minutes of one of the best episodes of the entire series, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of best episodes.
Oh, so you like Andor?
Andor. Wait, I thought we were doing Young Jedi Adventures. Sorry, I got my nubs. Anyway, so...
That's our Patreon series. We're going to go through Young Jedi Adventures
cool.
7
Yeah.
minutes at a time. So
Yeah.
look forward to that.
I thought we were doing Northern Exposure.
Why not both?
Yeah. We'll start multiple Patreons. Different tiers get you access to us covering different shows.
Look, if you want to pay, depending on how much you want to pay us, we'll do any show you want.
Yeah. For the $500 a month tier, we'll cover any show at 7 minutes at a time. It doesn't matter how long it is. As long as you keep paying the $500, we'll keep doing it.
Somewhere out there, someone wants that.
All our enemies are pooling together their pennies to pay that for that tier.
It's not an indecent proposal. It's like the most boring proposal. Yeah.
Noah, can you tell us a bit about your history with Star Wars and how did you find the show Andor?
Oh, sure. I mean, my history with Star Wars goes back a very long time ago. Star Wars actually entered into my life on what was one of the first really bad days of my existence. A man who was like a grandfather to me, who was my mom's boyfriend's dad, who I called grandpa, passed away. I was like 5 years old. And it just so happened to be that day, my mom, they were talking, this is like, I guess I was 6. It was like 1982, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Early 1982. And my mom had promised to take me to go see Star Wars that day. And it was kind of chaos in the house. And she just said, you know what, I'm just going to take this kid to see this movie, right? Like, you deal with your stuff, you know, to her boyfriend. This was the beginning of the end of their relationship. And for a kid who'd already been through a divorce, this was kind of like a second divorce. And it just so happened that like that day when all that started to kick off, we did go see Star Wars at the mall in Brea. We were still living down here in Southern California. And Star Wars kind of became the replacement family. Like all those characters, all of the lore, the mythology, all of it became the rock that I had as like my second family fell apart. And carried me up through, we moved up to Northern California. Not too long after that, Jedi came out like in the theaters. And just, it was the thing that carried me over through a very, very difficult time. And then became kind of like my gateway to everything else. So I got really into mythology because of it. I got interested in acting because of it. Like when I was a kid, I had this idea that, you know, and no one thought they'd ever make more movies, right? So I would tell people, even in high school, it's like, I want to become an actor so I can be in a Star Wars movie. And they're like, they're not making those, are over. Those are done. They don't make those anymore. And it, you know,
Fools.
Yeah, fools. But it, you know, it did turn out that like, you know, being like the part of Gen X I am, I'm never quite the right age range. Like at the time, like when they were casting for like Obi-Wan and Anakin, like at the end of college for me, I was like, oh, I'm the wrong, it's too early or too late. Right. But it's been a constant companion, and whether it's the movies or the books or comics or getting to see Sith on Skywalker Ranch, at the MTV premiere party that was done.
Wow.
That's a goofy story in of itself. Or before that, like camping out for episode 1 at the Coronet in San Francisco. sort of like all these little side quests and interconnections. You've had my good friend Anthony on the show. Like, Star Wars is one of the ways that we bonded. And it's, along with a couple other things, it's kind of the closest thing I have to a religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not religious in a traditional sense, but it's done everything from like gotten me to read like the works of Alan Watts to, sleep on the streets of San Francisco. It's everything. And for Andor, Andor, like a lot of older fans, was a real, they're making a show about the guy who died in the one-off movie? Like, well, at least he's going to get to touch Jabba, right? Like, that's going to happen. I'm still annoyed they never got to touch Jabba.
Do you know about
Yabba.
this?
Touch the
Yabba.
Yabba. Touch the Yabba.
Yeah. That was
very endearing.
Diego's whole thing. But like, we did not expect anything out of it. Was impressed when, it was, it's going to be Tony Gilroy, because, he's a fantastic writer. And it was just like, okay, maybe there's some potential here, but they're not going to give us like a hard scrabble, very pragmatic, realpolitik Star Wars. We'll never get that. So right from the jump, even the first 3 episodes that everyone was like, oh, these are so slow.
Yeah.
I was just gaga for it.
As folks who've like lived with Star Wars for so long, I think like it was easy to be complacent with it, especially at the point that like Andor was like in the lead up to Andor. Like, I think like we all kind of felt like we knew everything that Star Wars could give us at that point.
Yeah.
And Andor really did feel like a splash of cold water of just like what else is possible in this universe still. Like, this universe still has new things to show us and teach us.
And like I had really liked the first season of Mando. I had really enjoyed it. I was not as big on the second season because of all the fan service. I was like, oh, this is turning away from being something interesting to just being, glups on parade. And then what was Obi-Wan, I think, had already come out by first. Was Obi-Wan after Andor?
I always remember. I don't remember the order. It's Obi-Wan came out.
Obi-Wan came out first.
Yeah.
And then Andor.
Right. Which is why I personally was just like, I think I was done at that point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Obi-Wan was so disheartening because I loved Deb Chow's episodes of Mando season 1. I thought she did an incredible job. And then it was pretty obvious watching that show that they had just like overburdened her, and it was a pandemic production and it was a repurposed film script and all these things. And it was painful because there were little moments that are great and fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was like, oh, no.
You watch that first episode and it does such a great job of setting up Obi-Wan in this like horrible time of his life.
Yeah. Him cutting the sandfish, right? You're just like, oh, these little textural details, right?
But then you can tell that's like act 1 of a feature script. And then they cut away all of act 2 and turned it into a TV show.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the last episode that like most people like Alex did not make it to.
What happened to that?
There's an amazing, very cool like fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
Which is probably the from the film script, right?
Exactly,
yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
And it ends with like Anakin coming out of the mask and saying like, no, you didn't kill Anakin, I did.
Yeah.
And really cementing that like Vader has taken over and stuff. So like if you're gonna do like the Obi-Wan Anakin like prequel thing, like it does that well, but just with like the kind of stretched out problem that streaming TV has. And I think a lot, like you were saying, when you hear Andor prequel series, you just think that's going to have the exact same problem. How much story could there possibly be there? But the answer is that there's clearly a lot.
Also, I'm checking out. I'm glad that Deborah Chow is in director's jail. That she has not been able to make anything since. That's a very good industry to be like. Definitely not her fault that show
Yeah,
ended up that way.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm being sarcastic. Yeah.
For a second, I was
No,
like,
no,
wait.
yes or no.
No.
No, it's awful. It's like other far worse directors can go on to make whatever they want, and like she's been stuck because she did a good job and then pulled the bad assignment. You know.
I was at a screening once, or it wasn't a screening. It was a Q&A with Aaron Sorkin at the Writers Guild Library.
Oh boy.
And it was an audience full of like aspiring screenwriters. And yeah, exactly. I was one of them, so I'm not above anybody else who was in that crowd. I was one of them too. And
More of a comment than a question.
at one point, he says, Hollywood and sports are the only meritocracies left in America.
Oh, God.
And the audience erupted. People were so mad and just laid out how if you can be...
How did he respond to people laughing?
He became very defensive.
Okay.
And then acted like he was listening and did not change anything about his worldview afterwards. But yeah, just explaining that if you are not a straight white man in this industry and you have a bomb, you don't get to keep making stuff.
I think we're going to say that Hollywood and sports are the only two places where cocaine use is still accepted.
Don't forget Wall Street. Street.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Never forget Wall Street. So yeah, like I still will turn people onto the show just by showing them, the opening sequence of the first episode and just saying like, oh, you think you know Star Wars, but like, can your Star Wars do this?
Yeah. Can
Can your Star Wars shoot a cop in cold blood or like a mall cop in cold blood within like 5 minutes of meeting your main character after going to a brothel? Like, this is not, it was a real, like, this is not your granddaddy's Star Wars. But as someone who would like come up, reading all of the expanded universe, poring over, like, I didn't have a VCR as a kid. I didn't have a VCR until college. So when I wanted to revisit Star Wars, I would pull out the West End Games role-playing game books and just reread entries over and over and just imagine. So I spent a lot of time mentally in that world, and to like see that world rendered with such fidelity, so many textures, putting the camera somewhere we hadn't been, but you kind of knew had to have been off screen. Like if it's a real world, it's going to have places like this. Mm-hmm. And that's what the show was doing right from the beginning. That and having just the best writing in terms of like television screenplay writing of for scenes of anything since The Wire, as far as I was concerned. Like I was getting, first season The Wire vibes off of some of the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. You were sort of saying that by rereading these sort of scene descriptions, you have to reimagine the movies. Do you think that's sort of where your interest in making creative art came from, of having to basically reread that script and try and be like, oh, I have to make a movie in my head now? And
well, he was talking about the role-playing books.
But still, yeah.
No, I mean, like, it's funny. I mean, I was the kind of kid who, like, did elaborate, like, scenarios with his toys, and then like when we would get the Publishers Clearinghouse magazine stamp books, I would like turn those into tickets and try to sell tickets to other kids for like a nickel to like come watch a puppet show in my window. No one bought, but like right from the start, I just had the instinct to like, I wanted to like make scenarios. It was just the rereading the stuff almost was like an expression of that instinct, and some of that came out of just making scenarios on the playground, right? Like I was sort of always destined to be a theater kid, long before I think I understood what one was. Mm-hmm. It was let's play pretend, and like nothing was cooler than let's play pretend. And if it could be like let's play pretend Star Wars, even better.
Can you talk a little bit more about the role playing games? Because that's such a blind spot for me. I don't know about any of those.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, but I haven't become a tabletop role playing game nerd. Oh. So even for me, it's not a world I've waded into too deep.
So there have been 3 tabletop Star Wars games, but only one really matters, and it's the original. Mm-hmm. And that is Star Wars role playing game by West End Games, which was published, I believe, in 1987. It was a phenomenally successful game in and of itself. It was based off of a system that they had created for the Ghostbusters game, which is a rad game in and of itself. I had the box set of that thing, and which was legitimately funny. Like, there are jokes from that game that I still say to this day. Mm-hmm. And they were looking for, it's a very fast moving cinematic system. You're just using regular 6-sided dice. It's not very complicated at the basic levels to like understand how to do it. At a certain point, you're rolling like 10 dice, and it's like, okay, this is unruly. There's too many dice we're rolling. The numbers are so high. But what's really important, particularly to Star Wars, is they let those guys making the role-playing game just run with making the universe and building it out and asking the practical questions. You know, things like, well, like, if the Imperials are going to hold a planet, like, what's the garrison look like? Or how does, the New Order work? Like, how does Palpatine project his power culturally?
Which is what Andor is so much about exploring, yes.
Right. Like, the very idea of the Imperial Security Bureau comes from these books. And those books, when Timothy Zahn was hired to make the Thrawn, erase that, no, it's fine. The Thrawn trilogy back in the early 90s, which was the reawakening of the beast. Like, Star Wars hadn't had anything in about 4 years at all, except for the role-playing games.
Yeah.
And they just handed him a bunch of these role-playing games and said, here's your source. Here's the other material we have. Do something with this as you're making stuff. And he was just pulling ships out of the game and handing them to characters, and then they kind of get associated with that. Pablo Hidalgo, who I think most Star Wars fans know,
our dream guest on the show.
Pablo's original, like, he was a contributor to the role-playing game. Like, that's how he got in, right? Is doing that kind of that lore stuff. And so there's just this wellspring, and a lot of the stuff that Pablo will pull out and put into the show are things from that version of the role-playing game. So almost to the level of, there's a lot of that for a lot of us, like that role-playing game is what Star Wars actually is in terms of sort of the atlas of the world and all the possibilities in it. Mm-hmm. And it's such a good spark for imagining things off of. And Andor had that quality of not only playing with some of that stuff specifically, right? In fact, it could very well be possible that like I think the Gorman Massacre was just a thing referenced in the role-playing game. Is the first time it appears.
It definitely was just a thing that was referenced, and there was no detail about it.
Yeah. There's an RPG entry on it. And
well, shout out to the RPG creator, Designer X.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of people.
Also known as Greg Costigan.
Greg Costigan, and then also like Bill Salvasek.
It's a very funny Wikipedia entry of Greg Costigan, sometimes known under the pseudonym Designer X.
Yeah.
But I think like the thing that makes Star Wars unique among other like, film franchises is I think that like the world feels so much more like tangible than any other franchise out there. And I think its connection to these RPGs plays a part in it. That like even now, like I'm seeing like on the Wikipedia it talks about how like Twi'leks and Rodians and Quarrens, like that is where
all the names come from.
This all comes from.
The first time we saw the word Mon Calamari, it was in the source book, right? So and then for a lot of it, George just didn't bother to contradict it. Right?
Yeah.
Like he was like, oh, that's fine, and then it sticks with it. And then anytime George was like, oh, I don't like that, root and branch, everything, disaster occurs. It's just like all these dreams dust because he's like, no, I want clones to be this, or what if he was 8 years old? Oh my God. Anyway, I'll never get over the 8-year-old thing.
That is one of the foundational decisions that got made in the beginning of the prequel era that just has these tremendous knock-on effects as they go along.
Yeah. I just thought it would be better, if he was 11, a 11-year-old's not going to feel. And I'm just like, no, George, no.
Doing the Interstellar meme, like in behind the bookcase.
Yeah.
George, no, don't do it.
I still remember, like,
Does anyone hear something banging outside? I guess not.
Yeah.
Can someone clean this dust up?
Why am I so sad?
Yeah. I remember kind of like seeing episode 1 and being in shock, and I had the illustrated screenplay and I hadn't cracked it open yet. And then like the next day, I just remember like flipping through it, trying to see if there was like an alternate take, right? If there was something in the script that could have rescued it. And I just remember seeing concept art where they had drawn Anakin as a little bit older version of the kid from Braveheart. They'd used the kid from Braveheart as the model. And I was just like, and seeing like, oh yeah, originally he was going to be a little bit older. I was just, that would have solved every problem. So yeah, the original sin of the prequels is Anakin's 8 years old.
It's so true though. Because like those younglings didn't need to be that young, but because they aged him down, they're like, well, now the younglings need to be like 4 years old. It's crazy. Turning the Jedi into like child kid traffickers.
There's a lot of stuff, and all of that stuff was like, deeply contradictory to what the EU had established. Or at least what the EU had hinted at.
Do they have like a Dalai Lama situation where like they take kids and like what do they grab as a baby and that's how they decide it's
like
a Jedi?
Literally
every
what's
Jedi.
happening.
Every Jedi. They're like, oh, this one's got the Force. So,
but yeah, it's like he picked the lightsaber. No, like
yeah. It's I mean, on a certain level, if what you're doing, what George was doing, is just telling a story, right? Then it's fine. It's good. It's great. Like, you want to make a big statement about something, you want to like examine that. But if you're building a whole world and an engine for story, then it starts to get a little weirder and stranger and harder to deal with. And that's always been kind of the funny thing about Star Wars and its super tangibility, is that on the one hand, you had all these people whose job it was to build out this world so there could be theme park rides and video games and tie-in novels and comic books, and that they didn't contradict themselves so much that people didn't want to buy them anymore, right? And then you had the guy who created it who's just like, oh yeah, but this is my story, right?
Yeah.
And so it's also one of the things I think that makes Andor so fascinating in a franchise metatextual way, much in the same way that like what Filoni does with like the Clone Wars or his stuff of like, let me fill in the gaps and like, let's make this thing that really shouldn't work. Yeah. Like, let's find to do that. Andor's doing that as well, but in this super grounded fashion, asking really interesting philosophical questions and managing to show that you can have these things mean something in more than the mythopoetic mode.
Yeah.
And to pull that feed off, particularly if you want to have, a full spectrum world. I'm trying to avoid like the corporate terms for these things because I hate them, and use them all the time. But if you want to have something that everyone can kind of dial in on, finding ways where, look, some people can just jibe with the space opera, the melodrama, and other people are going to get into this like taut spy thriller thing. And the funniest thing to me, and particularly for like this set of episodes, is aesthetically we get so down into the THX 1138 rabbit hole right from the start that it still feels of George Lucas's Imaginarium, even if it's not, what a story he would tell was Star Wars.
Yeah.
It still feels like a story George Lucas would be interested in seeing told.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to dive into this episode, but we have one question that we have to ask first.
Okay.
Which is, in honor of the late, great WTF with Mark Maron, who are your Glupshittos?
So do you want the screen Glupshittos, the EU Glupshittos, or I can
whoever's
give all
in your heart?
You glup that shit out as much as you want. Yeah.
Oh gosh. I mean, to drive everyone insane right now, I'll say one who.
I'm going to make an Instagram post with them on it. So if there's a visual representation, that might be helpful. But
Okay.
It can be a text entry as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know what?
I'm sure someone has drawn fan art of every Club Shido that exists out there.
Right now, it's strange who's calling to me. Like, he doesn't usually, but it's Constable Zuvio.
Yeah, I don't.
Good old Constable Zuvio. He was supposed to be in The Force Awakens. They made
yes, I do know this.
They made an action figure of him.
Yeah.
He's, I think, the same species as Enbo, who will be appearing in The Mandalorian Grogu.
Which people are cheering in the streets when Enbo showed up in the trailer.
Yeah, some people were, and that's always a weird, it's like, oh my God, it's Enbo. And I'm like, oh, I know how old you are. But yeah, Zuvio.
Enbo is a bounty hunter.
A bounty hunter from the Clone Wars.
With a cool
dog.
He has a dog, and he has like a hat that he throws around like Odd Job.
He's got a hat.
Yeah. And so did Constable Zuvio.
You're going to know all about him. Listeners, you will have heard Alex fanboy out about his new favorite character, Enbo, last week.
Oh, yeah. There's almost certainly. It's Zuvio, because all the things that could have been. He actually, Constable Zuvio, he's the law on Jakku. He appears in one of the tie-in novels they did. I'll tell you, the road to the Force Awakens era of the publishing initiative, there were so many good little books.
Yeah.
There were some clunkers, but there was a lot of really great YA books. Everything felt of a piece. And then they decided they didn't care anymore. And that was frustrating, because it really right then it felt like something was happening. It's still, to this day, this always blows my mind. The Force Awakens is still the only movie to domestically come close to $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's still domestic number one. Everyone thinks, oh, Avatar. No, Avatar's worldwide.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens made more money in the United States. Star Wars is still bigger in the United States than like anything else.
Yeah, like in China, they don't really have much of a connection to Star Wars.
None at all.
It's one of the only like purely American franchises.
And it pulls great in Japan and does pretty well in Europe. But yeah, like there's still hope for Mendo and Grogu.
But no, I would be remiss.
That's going to be the first movie to break $1 billion. We're calling it now.
But I would be remiss if you want to pull a deep Club Shido. I'm curious just to know how deep.
Oh, how deep? How deep could I glup the Shido?
Zuvio's on the board. Zuvio, you've got. I just want if there was a. Which one? When I'm making the post, I'm gonna have to like Google. I spend a while Googling. That's the question.
Here, find us a picture of Cammy.
Cammy from Street Fighter?
No, Cammy is
CAMI.
CAM. It's either AMIE or maybe there's two M's. Cammy
There's a Cammy Marstrap and there's a Cammy Lonozer.
Well, she's the girlfriend of Fixer and part of the gang that hangs out at Anchorhead. She actually appears for a second in the Obi-Wan show.
Lady.
I believe that is Cammy there. Yeah.
I'm seeing two Cammys.
There might be two Cammys. It's the Cammy on Anchorhead.
I'm seeing two Cammys on Anchorhead.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's not. You know what? It's not an Obi-Wan that she appears. I believe they actually have her appear in Book of Boba Fett. Actually,
yeah, I think so.
She's supposed to appear in there? Yeah, she's one of Luke's childhood friends.
I'm seeing it was separating the canons and the legends on Google.
Yeah. That's how it goes. So,
because she has different last names depending on the canon last name is Marstrap. The legend's last name is Lone
Osner.
Yeah, who knows why?
But you're picking the Legends version, not the.
Oh, I'll pick the canon version.
Okay.
But like the best, they shot a scene and it was released on this weird like making of DVD that was like a DVD-ROM. This is in the early days of DVD-ROM technology, and it was all of the cut scenes from Star Wars. This is before DVD extras were really a thing. And it wasn't even DVD. Sorry, it was a CD-ROM. That's right. It was a CD-ROM that they had like encoded this stuff in. And part of it was that it was the first time they officially released in any way, shape, or form the Biggs scenes from Tatooine. And Cammy's in that.
Yeah, she's like one of the teens who Luke wants to hang out with.
She's the one who calls him Wormy, because that's Luke's nickname is Wormy, which may be more signs of how much was being ripped off from Frank Herbert. So, Desert Planet.
Well, that's a great poll. See if there's. I want you to see if there's a card for Cammy from the deleted scene.
Yeah, there is.
His hell yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah. You've got it all.
Tops proudly makes a
Yep.
Tashi Station. I love it.
Down to Tashi Station where we have the best power converters.
That's a great poll. Thank you for that.
Yeah, those are great.
Should we dive into Andor now? Are we ready?
Did we want to talk about No Proscenium a little bit, or?
Oh yeah.
No, it's all good. So what is No Pro? So No Proscenium is it's a website, it's a podcast, a dessert topping. It is humbly called the Guide to Everything Immersive. We've been covering all things immersive, from theater to theme parks and virtual reality, when that's still actually a thing. The corporations don't want it anymore, but you know what? Maybe for the best. It belongs with the weirdos. We were like sort of the first publication to like take it seriously as a form in and of itself. So whether it's plays in London and New York, or strange site-specific dance stuff in Tokyo, or immersive horror things that happen here in Los Angeles, like anywhere and everywhere, there are people making immersive works. We usually have someone nearby.
Cool.
So whether we're reviewing it or we're doing little interviews with the folks who make it, for 10 years, I did a podcast, 500 episodes worth of the podcast, covering the stuff, interviewing everybody in it, getting to interview the ILM Immersive folks a few times.
Cool.
Which was definitely fun. And interviewing the folks who made Star Cruiser, interviewing the people like Felix Barrett of Punch Drunk, all the way to like folks who just doing stuff at the Hollywood Fringe. I fell in love with the form in 2013. Sort of, it was like what I'd been looking for all along. I was a theater kid. I had done LARPing. I was just very interested in like work being done in non-traditional spaces. And then when I saw Sleep No More, and then this other show, Then She Fell, kind of back to back in New York that year, which I had done at the encouragement of a couple of friends, Jay Bushman, who is a writer and a transmedia creator, and Sarah Thatcher, who had just started working at WDI, and it's like the person in the R&D department who was like the R&D lead on Star Cruiser many, many moons later. I just was like, this is what I've been looking for. And then bent my work towards trying to build more of an audience for it, help the creators, learn their craft better. I teach up at CalArts. I teach like the history of it and a practical class in it. There's all sorts of things that have spun out. I could go on for too long about it, but the podcast has been on hiatus for like a long time now. By the time this comes out, it was supposed to be a shorter, and we're coming back in with a much shorter second season of about 8 episodes. That's going to focus on fandom, like the fandom around immersive. We spent 500 episodes talking to people making it. We're going to spend 8 episodes turning around and talking about the fans and all that stuff. And it's been fascinating to like get to dive into that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the whole point of immersive theater is the audience, so. My
class at CalArts for the practical class is called Centering the Audience.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really is like reality is the canvas, but the perceptions of the audience are what you're really playing with. So don't get me started. So, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
if people want to hear more about the Galactic Star Cruiser, we go back to Anthony Robinson's episode.
Yeah, exactly. We talked a lot about the Star Cruiser with Anthony. So, be sure to check that episode out. And I'm sure on your show, it sounds like you've got some episodes about the cruiser as well.
A couple episodes about the cruiser. There was like a farewell episode that I remember pretty well. And like we had all of our, not only our cabin mates, we also had some like super fans of it. One of whom, Dave Cobb, is now like the head of experiential for Paramount. And before that, he was like the lead designer on Warner Brothers Abu Dhabi. Right. So you have some folks who are in like the themed entertainment field, like who are really like, oh my God, like we won't see It's Like again for a while, but there's a lot of people who dream of what if we had the money to build those.
One day. What a clusterfuck that was. We don't need to get into it.
No, we don't need to.
But I was very sad I never got to go to the Star Cruiser. But instead, we get to return to Space Miami.
We get to go to the present.
Yeah, we get to go. Yes, because previously on Andor, Cassian got himself arrested. And today we start episode 8 with a distorted synth version of the theme song and then land on the face of a young prisoner pushed into line by the shore troopers. And these troopers seem to enjoy tormenting their captives, including Andor. And he makes it up to find 3 sets of transport ships waiting to take the prisoners away. And he's told that he's going to Narkina 5, and the troopers don't want to give him any answer of what that is. And as he shouts, "I'm just a tourist," his pleas of innocence fall on deaf ears as he gets threatened with a taser and pushed up the steps. So we got a very like disorienting opening to this episode here.
One of the things I love about this entire sequence, which we're going to keep cutting back to, is how disorienting it is, how close up the camera is, how much we're not being given information. We can't see over the horizon line. We don't know what's coming next. Mm-hmm. And it's such a sharp bit of filmmaking, which is one of the things lovely about the series as a whole, is like there's a lot of filmmaking in this television show, which you get with every single television show, and maybe less and less as time goes on. One thing I noticed while rewatching this sequence the other night, and I had to scrub it back like 4 or 5 times, is that one of the first sounds in that shot when we see like the young prisoner is this low hum thrum that sounds so much like the backswing of a lightsaber. And particularly the kind of backswing of a lightsaber sound you would get from Vader's saber. And I cannot, I heard it, it was like 2 nights ago, and I heard it and I was like, what? No. And I wasn't even like in earbuds. I was like off my television. I just rolled it back and I was like, oh my God, why did I never pick up on that before? So even at the layer of the sound mix, we're like indicating, subconsciously, like we are in high threat. Like this is life or death stakes. But also there's that oppressive, omniscient evil to all of this. And also right here, like everything's gritty and dirty and stone and where it's a bleached out area after like light's not hitting it, so like it's lost a lot of color and character.
It's supposed to be paradise, but like the hover transports are kicking up all this dust that the sky has like been blotted out by all the dust, and you see the palm trees like in the distance flying around as this paradise has been disrupted by the Empire.
It reminds me, if you've ever been like on a plane where you have to deplane the plane itself. They bring up the stairs and you get off. If you're ever like in a hot place.
In Burbank?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you have to like walk down the stairs, you just like get that wind in front of your head of just like, oh, I'm in a different climate now. I've been sort of cocooned in a air conditioning for a while.
And Andor throughout all of this this is like when it's finally like sinking into him that like, wait a minute, I'm not just getting like arrested. I'm being shipped off to some God knows where.
Yeah, what's
know?
Narkina 5?
Yeah, and they won't answer it.
And all my money is just, I didn't get to hide my money.
Yeah.
And there's, it's funny because like, on the lore side of things, right, you get the line in Rogue One of when he's like, oh, I've never been in this situation before, when he's like, in the prison, in the cell with
Jin
and everybody. And you just figure out like, okay, we got to retcon this somehow. We'll just imagine something else. But the particular paranoia he's got around, like he's told you're being sent off to Narkina 5, here's a guy who like cases everything, who is already, he served some time. He wound up on Minban, right? Like he's been through the Imperial penal system before, and everything's changed. Like his world is turning upside down, and like there's this idea, and it starts in the previous cycle that you were already living under a fascist system, and now they're altering the bargain.
Yeah.
Right. And that opening sequence hits so differently in the time of ICE detention centers and literally what was going on the week we're recording this, of the ICE just playing Candy Crush in airports while airport lines were long, right?
Yeah.
So just this whole
looking like
milieu.
12 years old.
Yeah. One of my favorite Blue Sky jokes was like, "Dang it, I don't have enough Robux to bribe these guys," right? And they literally looked like they signed up out of high school, and
Because they did.
Yeah, because they did. They're never getting that signing bonus. Sorry, boys, suckers. But this anxiety, and particularly that the first couple of shots are like medium shots on faces, and then when we start to finally like pull up and back, we're still only getting partial information.
Yeah.
And as we start to like piece together, it's like we're being kind of funneled down into like more and more claustrophobic situations.
Yeah, and like the line of prisoners, like it almost like stretches back infinitely, and you just see the shore troopers like just bumping into people like at random. So you just like never know like when you're about to get hit by them. And I think like speaking to like Andor's history, like he was somebody who I think the first time he ran through, the Imperial prison system when he was a kid, and he lashed out after his father was killed.
Yeah, after Clem.
And my read has always been that like he probably regrets that now, and says like I shouldn't have gotten involved, and so he thought, if I just don't do that again, I won't go through that anymore. And that's why he came to Niamos. And now here he's learning, wait a minute, I thought if I just don't club a stormtrooper in the head with a mallet, I wasn't going to get arrested. And yet here I am now in this line.
He could have signed up. He could have stayed with Vel.
Yeah.
He could have made radically different choices. But he didn't. And I love that they did that for him. Like, he's a coward. He wants to run away, and they exhaust every option, right? Like he does everything he can to avoid his fate. But, whether it's that he's marked by destiny because he's been in a movie that already happened, or if it's just the systems of oppression and the mechanical order of a machine that just wants absolute compliance.
Well, speaking of compliance, unless you have a final
yes, I want to just point out, like the episode starts with a hard cut, and I think it's very intentional that it is a young black man.
Oh
yeah,
the front of the line.
Yeah,
and I think we've talked a little bit about like how the deracialized aspect of Star Wars, but this is very intentionally like, if you're going to be doing a story about mass incarceration, you can't start it anywhere else than young black men. I think that's a very intentional choice by them. I tried to find the actor's name, I couldn't find it, and
it's also, I think, positioning Andor as just like one of many people who are going through this. that he's getting swept up into. So, like, he's like the fourth person in line. I think a lesser show would open on Andor in line and then reveal how many people are behind him. But here, like, he's not here because he's the main character of the show. He's here because he's a tourist.
Yeah.
That is the reason he's been arrested.
Yeah, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. We have to assume that a lot of the other people in that line are as well.
Yeah.
Like, they're profiled because for whatever reason. And as we'll learn, you know, you've been assessed as laborers. It's like, we want some free labor. So we're going to grab that guy and that guy and that guy. Those shore troopers probably have a quota every day of how many people they got to ship off, right? And
how many assets they have to seize.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for this sequence?
No, I was going to say, we're going to be talking a lot about Imperial Boomerang, but we'll get
there. Exactly.
For the next 3 months.
Because Andor gets pushed up the steps, and the chaos of this whole scene gets louder and louder, and we hear like the jet engines of the transport, and then that all cuts away to the ambient chatter of the Imperial Bureau of Standards, where
it's 2 floors. If it was bad before, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, and amongst all the octagonals in this building, the camera pans down and finds Cyril tapping away at his work desk in the macro data refinement labs, doing God knows what, just moving like things from one side of the screen to the other, until he hears the whir of a mouse droid leading Supervisor Flob and Lieutenant Hirt to his desk. And then when they arrive, everyone in the office peeks over their walls and looks at Cyril, as they can tell the weird new guy is in trouble. We were introduced to the Bureau of Standards in the last episode, and we got some of this set already. I was so excited to see it again. It's so out of Lucas's like THX bureaucratic nightmare vision of conformity, but here applied to the cubicle farm. Yeah.
Right. And what's wild is like, it is aesthetically beautiful, right? All those octagonal workstations. It makes they're not designed
to be, they're not really good to be worked in, but they look, which was like all office architecture for like 15 years. Look how cool this looks. And like, oh wait, people want their little cubicles because they want to be alone. They don't want to be seen by everybody. Yeah.
Well, this is like panopticon office, you know, like the supervisors can look down at you from everywhere in the building. You never know like when you're being watched in this.
Well, and that whole idea of like barring all of this bureaucratic aesthetics from the deck of a Star Destroyer, right? We'll see this later when Cyril's in charge somewhere, and like the setup there is similar. Like the bosses get to walk on the gangplank, everyone else is in the pit working, and that is how Imperial Command spatializes the relationship. And that's one of the things that like I was really vibing with on rewatching the sequence is, you know, how well these sets and the blocking does to spatialize these relationships and tell us the story through things like the levels that people are on, through things like the design of the spaces. In some ways, when I remember watching the show originally, hitting this episode and these sequences episodes and just feeling like we had taken a step up on the level of control and mastery of the form that the directing and the writing teams had. We were doing less in a lot of ways, but focusing on the details. There's also, sorry, I was about to jump ahead on something. There's even cutting between sequences. There's little details.
On that very poignant point, it was such a quick shot. I think we missed it last episode, but we have really not discussed Cyril's tie.
Oh yeah. And he looks. I remember watching it this time and thinking like that he'd even like tightened up a little more. Like,
he's definitely done some alterations.
Yeah, he's done some more tailoring to his outfit. But yeah, that.
Well, he's learned to not wear the brown suit anymore.
Yes.
Now that he's actually working the job, he's taken Edie's advice.
I can only describe it as car seatbelt tie. Mm-hmm. That's what it always reminds me of. It's that little place where the seatbelt gets pulled up into the thing.
Yeah. It's such a cool look. I mean, the fashion on this show, like just overall, even when it's not, Mon Mothma gets all the best outfits, but like everybody, I was eyeing, the Keith Grigo fit, right? Like the, like the loungewear for Niamos.
Yeah.
Like I want one of those classic Star Wars like little flap undershirt deals.
And everybody's got.
Well, it does make you wonder if Han Solo is wearing leisure wear then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably. He's got his Lululemons on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Keith's, clothing, we return to the shuttle as the prisoners are commanded to kick off all their shoes, and we see everybody's wearing like flip flops and Birkenstocks.
Because they were on vacation.
Yeah, they're all on vacation.
Yeah, they were all snatched out of the pool area.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, not to be a bummer, but when I rewatched this, I immediately thought of the Holocaust.
Sure.
Of just the pile of shoes when you entered. That was the first thing they took. It was often just that the population we're running out of rubber or leather. We'll just recycle the shoes and give it to everybody else. Like they're never seeing these shoes again. These shoes are going to go. The Empire's going to distribute these shoes somewhere else. And just like that image immediately evoked to me of just this is the pile of shoes that they will never see again.
Interesting. You thought there. I always think of there was this piece called Carne Irina that Inarritu did, and he did it with ILM, which is a VR piece that toured. It was at Cannes. It was actually at LA MoMA for a while, and the core of it is a VR piece where you're in the desert as there's like a border patrol is interdicting some folks who are crossing over. But the opening sequence, which you go into by yourself, is a recreation of one of the cooler rooms that Border Patrol has. And they also make everyone take off their shoes. And you had to like take off your shoes and put it, and there was like an installation in there of like the shoes that all get left behind by the folks who are brought into these cooler rooms and are kept at like, fridge temperatures. Like they're tormenting folks. And just the pile of shoes inside that room. And so, yeah, there's something kind of terrifying about people's shoes being stripped off of them. It's the beginning of the dehumanization process, right? You're no longer the, a person. You are a body and an object.
Yeah, because at that exact moment after they kick their shoes off, their hands are forcibly handcuffed to the railings right next to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're stuck, you're fucked. There's no getting out of this now. And we then leave Andor as the like reality of what's happening to him sets in, and we go from him shoeless to Cyril in his own captivity.
Undiagnosed ADHD Cyril.
I think he's nervous.
Yeah, but it's also, yes.
Yeah.
He's been picked up by the ISB and is now stuck in an ISB interrogation room until Dedra walks in and introduces herself as the ISB supervisor of the Morlana sector. And Cyril asks what happened to Blevin, and she shuts him down, reminding him that she'll be asking the questions here. And then she lays out...
Before we get, the pouty face on Kyler Solar when he first started is...
Yeah.
You said he's nervous, but he's also just like... He's just like a sad puppy. He's just...
Yeah. He's wanted to be in the ISB offices so bad, but he thought he was going to get like walked in, not brought in like a prisoner.
You could see as she moves in, he like resets himself to be more properly sitting around. Like even though she's behind him, he just like takes that like, okay, now the time to sit.
The little Edie on his shoulder told him, sit up straight, Cyril.
Yes.
But Dedra lays out that She was already scheduling to bring Cyril in to talk about some gaps in the Ferrex report, but he's interrupted her morning because he keeps submitting requests to the Bureau of Standards data center looking for Cassian Andor, saying that he's everything from a missing fuel specialist to an unresponsive energy engineer and a fuel purity field officer suspected of forging Imperial records. And in less than a month, he's filed 5 false inquiries, 6 if you include the one this morning. And I think this is such a great little meet cute for the two of them. Like, what are our thoughts of Cyril and Dedra laying eyes on each other for the first time?
There was a big, for me, like, we got to get these two in a room together, right? It's a little, Gozer and the Keymaster, right? Now they're in his space. It's so funny.
Rick
like
Moranis would have been an incredible Cyril.
Yeah.
Uncle Harlow, Rick Moranis.
Oh.
Shit.
Yeah.
For weeks we've discussing who would we want to cast as Uncle Harlow.
I'm glad we never got to meet him, actually.
I'm very glad, but it's fun to imagine who's on the other line
because
with
we get to keep imagining.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you leave lacunas in the thing so you can dream whoever you want it to be, right? From Rick Moranis to Brad Pitt, that is the Uncle Harlows out there, right?
Add Rick Moranis to the list.
So it's funny because knowing where the relationship goes, knowing that this scene which launched 1,000 ships gets fulfilled in some ways in the most delicious ways. Like for season 2, their arc and how messed up it is in so many ways. Like rewatching it, I was almost like, I remember there being more. They extrapolate so much from it, right? It's definitely we get an enhancement later in the season 1, in terms of them interacting. But this first time out, right? It's not like we see a moment where Cyril or Kyle starts playing any kind of attraction.
No,
with her, right? Nor her to him, right? But
she's not even looking at him for most of it. Like she walks in and her eyes are only on the tablet, and he is truly like a nuisance to her. Yeah.
And even once he asserts himself.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't play the tension. And in some ways, that leaves more room for all of us to fill in the blanks and then want more, because there's a little bit of if they could just see that they're the same side of the same coin. And it's so funny watching it now. And I rewatched the first season twice when it was running and then again before season 2. So I watched the show a lot. I poured over it every time because there was so much. And also there was a week between episodes, so there was plenty of time to haven't really done that with season 2. And I think we all projected so much in there that we made something happen, which is kind of fun. But you
kind of forget that it takes episode 8 for them to meet, if you've been following along with the show, it's taken 39 weeks to get to finally have 2 fan favorite characters.
I've ruined my life.
Interact.
Well, who's going to be in charge of this country by the time you guys finish? The Martians?
That's what we're going to find out. That's literally the whole point of this podcast is to figure out.
Can we make it through the fall of America?
Yeah, exactly.
So see if we can get the podcast banned for being seditious. So how dare you talk about that show? It's I mean, you have 2 great actors. You have them on program with what they're doing, and it makes so much sense that we all spilled into them. But it was really funny this time. I was like, oh yeah, I don't think they were directed to have anything. That's all. Particularly,
I think in this scene, in this scene, it's very much Cyril first being defensive and then realizing that something about Dedra's questioning like reignites a spark in him, I
Yeah.
think, because she asks, why the fuck are you doing this? And he gets to lay out his speech of how Cassian Andor is a murderer and a threat to the Empire, and Cyril is simply trying to use the limited tools available to find him. And there is a parallel that he doesn't know, that like Dedra's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
She's
also a rogue
using
agent.
every tool
Yeah.
that
And
she
also
has,
violating
and
the
trouble.
rules to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. They are mechanically, they're the same part mechanically.
Yeah.
Right? They're kindred spirits in that way. And maybe that's why we projected into it, because it's like they are the same, but they're the same in their social role. And here are two broken pieces
I just
of
want to
the
know
machine.
what else he did in the office to try and just put Cassian Andor, like, why is there Cassian Andor printed on 36 pages of paper just scattered around?
Well, here's the other funny thing about like all the different identities he gives to Cassian Andor is like that is also who Cassian is.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like constantly remaking himself. Right. Like we get into a lot more fun of that as time goes on. But one could imagine that Cassian has been all these people that Cyril's accusing him of being. Like each one of those is an identity that at some point Cassian probably did slip on. And there's all these things that feel like I don't think it was set up deliberately. Like particularly in the writing process, my earliest theatrical background is in improv. So a lot of it's about reincorporating things, but there's all these things that are laid down here that they pull back and call back to and reincorporate as we go forward. Like, there's so much in this.
Because in this scene, Dedra almost laughs when she says like, "Oh, you did this for public safety." Like she's making fun of him, and she then like kind of lays out how like you've succeeded in getting noticed by the ISB. And so if you want to stop wasting my time and actually give me something useful, I will listen to you right now and only right now.
She's just imitating Partagas.
Yeah.
Well, and also, if memory serves, this is the first time we've seen the interrogation room, right? Yeah? Have we gotten another scene in there before?
Yeah, this is the first time.
So this set, which will become so iconic in season 2 and become really like a bookend, if I'm remembering my season 2 right, like this space and the way it can be acted in and the power dynamics in there and the other big scene we get in the series, right, are this set is a crucible, right? And here it's beginning something unbeknownst to all of us, and further down the line it's going to end, right? And one wonders if, as they were laying out season 2, if they thought about, well, we love that set. It was so good to all the things we can do between two people in that room. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back there and make it. And there's something about all these ISB sets. Like it's a really great just generator of drama, the way they've built these 3 or 4 sets they have in the ISB Center.
Put it on the list of things if we ever do get to talk to Tony. But I'm like, I wonder if the whole Cyril Dedra thing was something they found in the writer's room. That was not in the original outline or the pitch. I wonder if that was something they found of like, oh, these two characters are on similar journeys. Like at some point they were maybe going to meet, but the idea of them being like romantically connected came in later. And because it feels like that's something that could come up in the room.
Yeah, I think that the way they wrote season 1 inspired that ship, for sure, but it didn't feel like when we open season 2 and they are literally in a relationship living together, like I squealed because I just like didn't imagine that was gonna happen.
Oh, we all did. Oh my god,
it's like, whoa, they're doing it.
Yeah, holy, what the heck?
And they're doing it.
Yeah, how is that even possible? Don't tell me. There's just so much.
It's the most fucked up field account ever made.
Yeah, it's so good.
But yeah, like I think like you're saying, I think they discovered in the room, because I think the first kind of spark of that is that Cyril insists that he's just trying to clear his name, And Dedra scoffs and says, "One would think you tried to leave that fuck up behind you." And this is the first time that Cyril like really makes eye contact with her. And he snarls, "One would be wrong." And this is when like Dedra actually like takes him seriously for a minute. They're like, "Okay, fine. You're not just being a nuisance. You do think you're trying to help. So I'm going to call your bluff now. Like, do you have anything that helps me?" And Dedra then demands to basically hear what isn't in Lieutenant Blevins' report. And Cyril tells her that he doesn't know because he was forced to sign it without reading, as we saw in episode 4, which was
7 years ago.
27 weeks ago or something. And that's the first interesting thing that Cyril has had to say. And Dedra quickly leaves the room, instructing her assistant to give Cyril a copy of the report to review. And even though, you know, they're very busy and behind schedule, she says that this is worth it.
And one of the things about that is like structurally it starts to talk about how, and we'll get more in this episode, how for all of its obsession with order and its obsession with control, it is such a clunky, inefficient machine. And like, and unlike our world where the fascist,
they put the best people in every position.
Yeah, like there's actually competent people in the Empire.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. Like, there's actually competent people in the Empire in the fiction, and they still can't manage to like, they're blind to it, as opposed to the sheer folly of, you know, what we have in our system, which is also about no one actually caring about what happens to any of this. It's much more fallen. Like, our government's being sold off for parts. The Empire is in building mode. Like, Palpatine and his people have something they want. They have a vision that they're pursuing, as opposed to, you know, some people in our evil current scenario do, but the people at the very, very top are just like, let's sell this for scrap.
Yeah, we won't get till season 2, but the McKinsey consultants will be a big discussion topic.
Those are my Glupshitos for sure. Yep. I love those guys.
Yep. Oh my God. I want to see all of their PowerPoint presentations. Like, imagine what their Empire Day presentation is like when they're pitching. Imagine those two guys like pitching the Emperor on like performative stuff in Coruscant.
They're doing the Tilda Swinton and Michael Clayton of like globe or planet.
Yeah.
Globe, planet.
Yeah.
But we're gonna the Death Star.
Yeah.
But they're thinking, like, how could we make the ships that are transporting them from Niamos to Narkina just 10% cheaper?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you kick off their shoes, they're 5 pounds lighter on the ship, which means you save 1 piece of fuel.
Oh yeah.
Well, speaking of the ship, we do see the transport shuttle arrive at a planet called Narkina 5, which is a blue moon orbiting the planet Narkina. And it flies over the ocean, and we see Andor inside with all the other prisoners looking out through the slatted windows on the transport to see this giant man-made structure jutting out of the water unnaturally.
I'm going to bet Wookiees actually made it, but that's neither here nor there.
2 things I want to flag. It's just this one shot of we see all of them sitting on the ship. One, some really good spaceship moving acting.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, everyone's sitting still, just like,
Tilt. Yep.
And 2, it's a fucked up 2001 Space Odyssey shot of like, it is the guard is like falling over. He's not, it's like you're seeing this sort of spinning hexagon thing, and then instead of it just being like this, you know, elegant way of going forward, the guard just sort of like loses his balance, has to grab the thing, and he's so used to this, and it's there's no elegance, or if we go to space, it will be used for this as much as it would be elegance in anything else.
Well, that was this shot, this sequence inside the ship is also, you know, it's our first glimpse of where he's going. The scale of everything is huge, but even with the scale of that facility and the fact there's like 4 other facilities you can kind of see both at the edges and around the edges of the frame, the claustrophobia is still kicking in, right? Like, just the way the light's hitting his face as Cassian's looking outside to kind of get a glimpse through. this idea that even though there's this giant water world out there, with giant penal colonies inside of it, he's still completely caged. He's still trapped, and isn't like the shuttle, I'm thinking about this right now, isn't the interior of the shuttle the same shape as Narkina itself?
I believe they're both was a septagon. What's the 7-sided? I can double check.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm curious, or if it's a different, but it's a gon, right?
Yeah.
It's one like all these septagons or octagons or hexagons that are like
they're being
containing
moved from
people.
like one tube to another.
Yeah. And then Cyril starting in one, and even like I now I want to look back and see like what's the shape of the interrogation room, right? We're in these very sharp, it's sharp edged shapes from which there's no obvious egress.
Well,
right?
I mean,
Like,
they're just recreating the Empire logo over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just it's the lines going into the circle of just, this is the process. Here's the center. Everything leads towards the center. They're just going to recreate the image that they keep seeing.
Yeah.
And the last bit of irony here is that Andor told Marva, we're going to leave Ferrix and go somewhere bright and warm. And now here he is on a planet that is bright, and it's a beautiful shining blue, but the Empire has built this horrible prison on it.
It could be nice. We don't know yet.
We actually do know later on
Yes.
that the Empire has ruined it, but we don't get to see what Andor has in store just yet.
No, I mean, he could think it's one of those fancy prisons that like white-collar criminals go to.
They have like a squash court.
Exactly, yes.
He's playing pickleball with the commandant.
That's the dream.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so right as we sort of pull into the giant 7-sided prison, which kind of reminded me a little bit, I mean, not in the sense that just the Pentagon is also a big shape thing, but sort of the architecture of this just sort of big white thing sitting in a very unnatural place. But from there, we cut back to the ISB room, and we see the
another big white sharp-edged space.
Yeah, another big, yes.
Yeah.
With a lot of angles. And to that point, like the Starpass unit doesn't match. It is this sort of junky little brown thing amongst all of this sort of professional technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the unit that Cassian tried to sell to Luthen. It was then, she goes through the history of it. It was stolen to Steergard Naval Yard the previous year, but the ISB doesn't know where it was taken because Steergard was afraid to disclose its theft and thought they could hide its absence. This thing of everyone is fucking up and covering up their mistakes, which we keep talking about, is ultimately where fascism falls, which is that the fear of failure is greater than the desire to succeed.
And Dedra has a whole report written up, narking on how often people are doing this.
Yeah.
Ever the good student.
There's pockets of fomenting and there's pockets of fucking up. We see the return of Colonel Wolf.
Yes.
He says he's listening, but it's not very clear he is. She continues her report.
If you've ever been in a pitch where the exec on the other side is clearly reading their emails,
yes.
This is a very familiar scene to you.
He's also playing Candy Crush on that screen.
He's got the infinite runner going.
Exactly. He's just his brain's been ruined by TikTok. I don't tell you.
Well, this is supposed to be, that's Yularen, right?
Yeah, that's Wolf Yularen.
Yeah, Wolf Yularen. It's what's so funny. It's so funny about getting to see him, knowing that just all of the kind of behind the scenes, like why is the ISB wearing white? Why did he was wearing white when he was in the Clone Wars show as like an admiral, like in the Republic Navy, all those aesthetics and like the retconning of those aesthetics defines how this show ends up working. And just this idea of like the guys at the pure, bright, clean white represents the ultimate intelligence. And it's here, even though, we do speciesism instead of racism, but then the aesthetics of, other than like Palpatine all in black, right? Like the Sith, like the pure darkness, the fact that there is a visual supremacy of the white coats, right? This idea of that kind of purity, and that's what's on top of everything, is that there's the gray of the military who they live in the gray zone, like where that command goes. But when people are making command decisions and they're elevated amongst everyone else, right, they are cast in white.
It's like when doctors started wearing white coats as a almost like a marketing tool.
Yeah.
It's like, no, basically it's like, I don't have any blood on me, I don't have any dirt on me. Like that is the thing that is incentivized. Like I got my shit together and there's nothing on my shirt.
Yeah.
And they're if they spill something, they spilled something and they have fucked up.
Well, and Partagaz calls them doctors.
Yeah.
He says that's our job here at the ISB.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're preventing disease.
Yeah, and then they pull up a giant rotating head of Cassian.
Yeah.
Which I realize sort of like for a moment he is the Panopticon. He is in the center staring at all of them. But he wishes that's the position he was in.
And this is, I want to say, like Dedra kind of stealing from Cyril, like that she has discovered Cassian as the locus point for her investigation into Axis.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, because like it's hard to tell what she did have on Andor before that meeting. I love the ambiguity here in the writing, because like for all we know, she had like pieced a lot of this stuff together already out of the reports that was there. But it's also entirely possible that Cyril's single-minded focus brought it to light, and then she's able to narrativize it, and in narrativizing it, she's able to get the authorization for what she wants to do, because there's a story, there's a villain to like pin it on, right? Like that narrative process is like important for these intelligence people as well. I love the Star Path unit just sitting there, particularly because it's not the last time we're going to see it. Mm-hmm. And this time, like the last time we get to see it, originally I popped real hard. I was like, oh my God, it's a thing, right? Like we're back to the beginning, and here getting to see it again, I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. There's our little devil. If they had just taken the unit with them or blown it to smithereens, they wouldn't have been in trouble.
I mean, this is some real, we've been doing this for too long. I'm going to hyper focus on one thing. But visually, like this little unit is not professionalized. It is not like fancy or colored. It's like brown and janky, and it is the visual representation of like, this is the rebellion coming into the space that will ultimately destroy it. It's a tiny little small thing, but it sticks out like a sore thumb. It looks like a ship going into the Death Star. It's this one little thing that is going to disrupt everything. It's the one thing that it's a lack of control that they even have over this thing, and that's going to lead to their destruction.
I love that point, particularly because, like, you would think in that moment it's the lead they have, it's the sign that they've got the drop on them, but in fact it is the thing that's going to be their undoing.
It's the rotted apple
undoing.
In the bunch that they think we can, if we just throw this out, we can stop the rot from spreading, but it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the real hero of Star Wars is that Star Path unit. If not for that Star Path unit,
it got Cassian to Luthen.
New club shit out.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to next celebration. I'll go as a Star Path unit.
But yeah, back inside the Apple Store, Dedra continues to report that she continues to explain that that there's a person named Axis at the center of everything. As we know, it is Luthen. Wolf then asks her to list off all the materials she's requested for investigation, and it kind of just keeps going, and eventually you see a brief moment of levity of everybody sort of making the same face, like, man, that's a long list.
Yeah.
But Dedra tells him, if somebody there is talking, we need to be listening. And despite the cost, it's a fraction of the price of losing more equipment. Wolf raises an eyebrow, but Partagaz looks on with pride. He's just a proud papa.
Well, I actually disagree.
Okay.
I think that Partagaz throughout the show so far lets Dedra fend for herself. He's pushing her out of the nest and saying, like, can you hack it in here? When she answers sarcastically about how all of that stuff is a fraction of what it costs when we get this stuff stolen from us, she realizes that she's gone too far.
Yeah.
She's shown too much emotion. And then she's able to take a step back and make the cold, logical case
That's
for
fair,
it.
but he's
and
still-
once she makes that, then Partagas comes in and says, Dedra has convinced me that she's right.
He's he's her guarantor.
Yeah, exactly.
He's sort of saying she's my responsibility. If this goes well, it's on me.
Yeah.
But he does have a little happy papa face though.
No, he does.
Yeah.
He is very proud of her,
Yes.
for sure. And it's funny though that line, that, you know, her sarcastic little thing is the only thing that gets Wolf to look up from his email.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's a dangerous one when she's like pushing back on him.
Yeah.
And like it's the Sith dynamics of it all, right? You know, like, oh, you're gonna start pushing up the chain. Like, do you think you could be where I am? Right.
Exactly.
And like it's clear she's like hyper ambitious.
Yeah.
Right. Like all of this is just subservient to her ambition. And one wonders if she like cares about any of this stuff at all beyond what it can do for her. And I think the answer is no. It's like Cyril's the true, in the couple as we go on, Cyril's the true believer in order, right? Like he bought into the idea of there are good people and bad people, and the good people are the ones who have the guys who look like clone troopers, and the bad people are everybody else, and I'll do anything for order, right? Like we must have order. The Jedi were messy. Can we just have an orderly, tidy world, right? You know, as orderly as my tailored uniform is. And for Dedra, it's just power.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be hurt. Like, I don't want anyone, I'm never going to fuck up, which is how I'm never going to get hurt. And that's going to give me the power. And the more power I have, the fewer people who can hurt me. I'm going to go as high up the chain as I can.
Note to self, write Star's parody of Inspector Javert, but Star Wars. Just look at the stars. Yeah. Rusteen doesn't get that reference because he hates musicals.
I don't, but I'm laughing along, nodding politely.
To our musical fans, that's a decent joke. Yes, I also want to say, like, as the camera kind of does a pull in a little bit as she's giving her instructions, and to your point, like, she's bringing the same level of like focus and mania to this as if she was calling for like shoot down those planes in the sky. She's directing these as if she's doing the same thing. To her, it is the same. It is just, I know what's right, and I'm telling you what to do, and I do not need to be told otherwise, even if it is her boss that she should be biting her tongue about. But yes, then we watch as she continues on, basically as you were saying, Wolf asks what's her plan besides going to Ferrix, and she tells him she will identify Axis, who left with Cassian. It's the best lead they have, and basically their only lead. Like you said, Partagas comes in. He's sort of Dedra's guarantor that he has her back. And Axis is an issue, he reiterates. Nor do they, because we don't know who he is or what they're doing. And they're the little they're aware of is already troubling. Ferrix was Cassian's first fuck up, so it's time to get this hunt started.
And there's the irony here that like the Empire's like vast sweep through the public order resentencing directive has ruined Dedra's hunt before it's even started.
Yeah.
That like they are searching for a needle in the haystack, and they just burned the haystack basically.
They burn the haystack. They actually have the needle, but they think that the needle is actually a syringe, you know, because somehow, as good as all is, Cassian's paper forger is like really good, which is how he manages to get like arrested and processed as someone that he is not.
Yeah.
Right?
And Dedra's trying to be a surgeon, like calculating exactly how to cut this tumor out of the Empire, but the Empire has already decided to be an executioner.
Yeah.
And so they are just sweeping everybody up, and in their vast overreach have now made it impossible for them to stop the rebellion, which is in essence what Luthen wanted to happen.
Yeah.
By forcing them to react like this, it makes it harder for the Empire to actually do the work of policing the galaxy, because they are sweeping in everybody and now they don't know who they have.
Luthen being an accelerationist, and like accelerationism being a key tenet of the operational part of the rebellion, right? I mean, even go back to episode 4 when Leia's right in front of Tarkin. It's like, you know, the tighter your grip, the more systems will slip through your fingers, right? Like we're seeing that PORD is a mechanization for us of that, right?
Yeah.
Like more things are going to slip because they're tightening their grip. And sitting in the moment that we're in right now in America in 2026 and just hoping that holds and that stuff is rooted in the historical record, that these systems
the records always hold up really well against these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the more they crunch down, the more resistance they wind up engendering, right? And we've gotten to see that a few times this year already, in real ways. Yeah.
What is the space Strait of Hormuz?
Oh, that's simple. It's the Kessel Run. So
exactly.
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's the trade routes around Naboo.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgie was right.
Yeah.
He sure was.
We then returned back onto Narkina 5 with a lot of steam and smoke. The prisoners then step down the ramp on the transporter ship onto the bridge. We're getting lots of feats.
Yes.
It brought up about 7 pop-up ads that I can confirm on Diego Luna's wiki feed profile. This is the first photo.
Wow. Free feed on Andor.
Yeah.
You got to get a Disney Plus subscription, but you can see Diego Luna's feed. Do they give ratings on
a
WikiFeed?
4.57
out of
5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, they are
good on
nice
Diego.
feed. That's not my thing. But
There's also a hand section now?
There's a hand section on
that's
WikiFeed.
where-
There's a hands on WikiFeed.
That feels inappropriate.
The financialization of we just have to add everything to more features to get people coming back.
Oh no,
Diego has
shitification has hit WikiFeed.
Yeah,
what is the
it's
world coming to?
Diego has like a tiny little pinky toe. Just something cute I'm noticing. I didn't pay that close attention before, but now
is that responsible for the 4 or the 0.57 on WikiFeed?
I think that's what dropped him down. To be honest,
would have been a 5.
It's my guess.
Tiny,
yeah,
I don't know. Not a foot guy, so
yeah.
First question: Is being barefoot a plot point in the movie or whatever it is? That's funny.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Someone responds, yes.
Critical.
He ends up in a prison where the floor can be electrocuted to keep prisoners in line.
I wonder if there's like a ranking of the feet in Narkina. Like, who has the best feet in the Narkina?
I don't remember
prison?
a lot of foot shots.
What is
in that?
I mean, there are a lot. They're all barefoot in it the whole time.
Yeah, but not like at the Tarantino level of a
Sure,
foot shot,
sure,
right?
sure.
You know, like there's a shot of a foot and then there's a foot shot. You know,
Here we get a foot shot. I mean, it's like a close up of those little piggies.
yeah.
I know I'm uncomfortable. I regret this diversion. Yes, we see them as they once they're all told to put their hands behind their heads and keep their feet down. Cassian is confused by the second one because where else do your feet go? But he does as he asked, and then down the corridor with the THX bright white corridor, we see some figures in the distance. Is it Darth Vader? Is it Palpatine? Is it Babu Frick?
Ooh.
Well, we find out next week.
Yes, that's the end of our 7
Yes.
minutes here on Andor.
Nice.
Any final thoughts, Noah, about this little sequence here, or the episode, or the Narkina stuff that we have coming up?
Well, starting with like the THX of it all in that shot of like someone's coming. It's been a long time since I've seen THX 1138. I've only watched it a couple of times. I think I actually don't own it, which is a little weird. But I remember there being like a similar like emergent shot in of like something coming out of like a
Yeah, I
bright
believe
white
so.
hall.
I actually
Yeah.
haven't seen the movie yet.
You've never seen THX?
I've never seen it. I've been waiting, and listeners, you can look forward. I have it on the docket to cover on the show. So
Are you going to watch the original or are you going to watch the special edition?
Download of the original theatrical version. Like the Grindhouse cut, I think is what they call it.
I would encourage watching that and then also watching the enhanced.
Okay.
And particularly if you can get your hands on the the Blu-ray of the enhanced, and which includes a commentary track from George. If you've ever heard a George commentary track,
I've never heard a George commentary.
Oh, well, this is what's truly interesting about the THX 1138 commentary track versus a Star Wars commentary track is how excited George sounds talking THX 1138. I remember the first time I saw that movie, I saw it at the UC Theater in Berkeley. And when I came out, I wept because I was like, where did that guy go? Because as we all know, it was like his first film based on a student film that he did. It is so experimental, so radical, so weird, just deeply strange, to the point where when you find out that they were talking to David Lynch at one point about maybe he would direct Jedi, if you've seen THX 1138, it makes more sense.
Sure.
Like by far, because of how strange it is. And then I encourage you to watch the special edition later because, and again, I haven't watched them close together, but I remember watching that and coming out of that and thinking, oh, he didn't ruin the movie.
Well, I can't wait to finally get to watch the film for our next Andor detour. So listeners, you can look forward to that when we complete our coverage of this episode, but you'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. Noah, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Can we keep doing the detours until they come out with Star Wars detours?
That's our threat,
Yes.
Disney. You need to release the detours, or else we will keep posting podcasts about it.
It's our Snyder cut.
We should just recreate the detours, you know? We should write our own sketches and then voice act them.
Ooh.
You know? We could do it as a teleplay.
Really get sued.
Yeah.
Well, they used to be pretty good about fan films. So,
Yeah.
Like we've all seen Troops.
Exactly. Noah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for
on
having
the
me.
show. Do you have anything you'd like to plug, and where can people find you?
Well, they can find me at No Proscenium, noproscenium.com. That's www.noproscenium.com. Like the proscenium arch of a theater, but no, so not one.
We will have the link for that in the show notes as well.
People don't read. That's the number one thing. That's why podcasts exist. And hopefully right around this time of this coming out, we've been working on season 2 for a minute and getting waylaid. But after, a 500 episode first season that lasted 10 years, the next one's going to be just 8 episodes. And then we'll change up themes, like there'll actually be little seasons that have a theme of their own. And it's a different way of working. From the time I was 16 until much, much later, I worked in public radio. So I never thought I was going to make 10 years of just an interview talk show. And so I got very, very bored by the end. So I want to stretch my public radio producing skills again.
I love that. Well, I can't wait to check out season 2 when it drops.
Should be a lot of fun.
Cool. Would you like to call your shot on what you would like to come back for back on Andorx? Because we'd love to have
in 8 to 9 years.
Well, let's. God, I'm really old then. I'll be really old to be facing my mortality. Has anyone called the Force Healer?
No,
yet?
First time. You got dibs.
Really? Oh wow. Jeez. Yeah. No. I love the Force Healer. It's fascinating. Being someone who for whom Star Wars is the closest thing has to a religion, and there being, consciously very much a dearth of the spiritual part of Star Wars in this show, in a way that I thought was really great and refreshing. It's fascinating to start to see all the threads come together and to see sort of a layperson's view of what the Force must be, and how that stuff must kind of live in people's lives, because Andor may be a hard sci-fi show, but Star Wars is a universe with space wizards and laser swords.
And Tony explicitly set out to make a show where the Force never shows up, but I think that the beauty of Star Wars like broke through his hard curmudgeon-y shell, you know, like even by the end of it, he saw a bit of the beauty in the concept of the Force and what it means to people, beyond just being a tool that you can use to push people around, you know, like the fact that it's this thing that binds people together. It is because he's talked a lot about how the show is about the destruction of community. Yeah. And the Force is the binding of community. It's the thing that creates community in the Star Wars universe.
Or it's a thing that is created by community.
Yeah.
Right? Like that and that chicken and the egg mystery of it all, right, is I really want to come back and talk about the Force Healer.
Well, you got it.
I'm realizing now, you know what the most Star Wars health thing is?
What?
Like chiropractic. You learned it from a ghost. It was a Force ghost.
And she's doing chiropractic on she's cracking necks and on Yavin 4.
Anyone listening, it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, the art of chiropractic was taught to Daniel David Palmer by a ghost.
By Qui-Gon Jinn.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, it all makes more sense now.
That's incredible. Well, thank you guys for being here, Noah, and thank you all for listening. Be sure to rate and review Andorx on Apple Podcasts to help us with the algorithm. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/AndorxPod, where for just 5 credits per month, you can listen to the next 4 episodes of Andorx right now, along with our bonus Andorx detours, like last week's episode covering The Mandalorian and Grogu. Send in your questions about the show to andorxpod@gmail.com, and you can follow us on whatever your social media vice of choice is at andorxpod. And we will see you next week for part 2 of Season 1, Episode 8, Narkina 5. Later, dorks.
Farewell, dorks.